Good morning, everyone. Let's do a check. And can everyone hear me okay? All right. Everyone good? All right. If you have your self unmuted, please mute yourself. Oh, I can do it too. All right. Y'all must be still in the bed because the only time you don't want to show yourself is when you're in the bed. Erica is in her living room, so I can see her. The rest of y'all must be in the bed. All right. We are going to get started. I think I can see everybody's screen all bright, and should be good. All right, so good morning. We will not prolong. I know that people may be at work or some people may be joining later on. It don't matter. We'll get back. They'll be able to jump in and come in where they please or whatever. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself at any time and ask your questions. Make sure that there ain't no whole bunch of noise in your background. We don't want to hear little Ray Ray hollering in the background today. And make sure that your screen, you're in a good location where we can actually see you and whatever else any questions that you may have. All right. I'm going to share my screen with you all now. Let me know if you can see everything. 1 second. All right. We should be good to go. All right. Everybody can see. I can't. If you put a chat message or something, I won't be able to see your chat right now. Well, actually, I will. I'll be able to see. I'll just log in from the other one and view y'all. Maybe not. Somebody can be my moderator and tell me when somebody got a question and stop me. Don't let me talk too much. Good. Okay. I see it on here now. All right. So good morning. We are going to get started with the updated version to this class. There were a lot of questions as it pertains to teaching hands-on classes versus in-person classes, and what is the difference. And if you are here today, I'm sure that you either have a desire to teach or you are looking to expand on what you already done. Is anybody already teaching classes or anything right now? You can come in and talk to me. Give me your reason for wanting to take this class today. Y'all know how to use Zoom?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name isn't correct on the screen. I'm actually Benet. I don't know why my husband's name is on there, but I spoke to you about an hour ago, and I'm just interested in learning how to actually teach a class or to be able to show people how to do stuff hands-on.
Okay. All right. Perfect reason. And that's probably the reason why most people are here today. All right. So some of the things that we are going to cover today in this course is going to be our outline on, you can see on the screen now, The main thing that we're going to talk about today is determining your content and the class prep. Those are the main things. If you have taken the previous class on how to teach a class, you know I went over some of the details about how important it is to create meaningful content, not stealing other people's content. If you do, you need to make it your own. Different things like that. There are so many people that teach classes in the industry, and people who teach things on YouTube, and we'll get into the whys and the things that you should not do. But one of the main things is making sure that the class is geared to the right type of demographic and the right people that you are looking to reach in your target audience. Okay. All right. Oh, I thought I had unmuted myself. Unmuted myself. All right. Whatever you teach, remember that you are the expert. You probably have heard me say this before. Whatever you decide to teach, you need to be the expert at it. You are the expert. You cannot teach people something that you do not know how to do. So if you are teaching how to make Alfredo sauce, and you know damn well that you burn Alfredo sauce every time that you make it, then you probably don't need to be teaching other people how to do it. Okay. If you do not feel comfortable speaking about it, then you probably should not be teaching it. All right. That is just my rule of thumb. All right. Determining your content. All right. What are you going to be teaching? If you are going to be teaching a cake class or something like that, then you need to really, really be specific on what your audience, who your audience is, and what exactly is your focus going to be in the class. There is nothing worse than taking a class from somebody and they are rambling all over the place. You can tell that they're not prepared for the class. I have been in classes one class in particular that I talked about before. I actually paid for a hands-on class. It was years and years ago. Got in there and the instructor didn't even speak English. So it was a huge problem. It was a language barrier. I could not understand. The translator that they had there to teach the class with them did not speak English as well. They had it was just a mess. So you had all these people in the class that were English speaking, and they didn't understand what was going on. So what did I do? I just walked out. I went and demanded my money back from the class, from the registrators. And I mean, because it made no sense to be teaching something that everybody couldn't understand. All right. Have you done your market research on the subject that you're going to be teaching about? So this in particular has to deal with a lot of online classes. Let's be honest, y'all, if you're teaching a buttercream class, how many different ways can you show people how to mix butter and powdered sugar, or mix shortening and powdered sugar, or make Swiss meringue buttercream? Every one of these buttercream recipes is damn near identical. All you're doing is adding a few different ingredients to something to make it your own, or to say that it's your signature thing. American buttercream is all comprised of the same ingredients: butter, powdered sugar, and flavoring, or heavy cream, or coffee creamer. It's all going to be the same thing. So how many different ways are you going to show? Have you done the research on the subject that you're going to be teaching? Is the subject you're teaching, is it going to be something different from what everybody else is doing? Okay, that is going to be the main thing that's the determining factor. If people even want to take your class and what stands out from it, the marketing aspect of the class is going to be major, because that's what's going to sell the class. Are you putting this out there? Are you relaying the information to people where they're going to be like, well, damn, you know what? I know I've been doing my buttercream this way for all these years, but I gotta been doing something wrong, because I want to see exactly what are they doing. Why is theirs so silky smooth? Why is their cake looks so moist? Which I never understand on pictures when people say, oh, that cake look moist. Because I ain't seen a picture yet that I can say, damn, that cake look like it's moist. Like I don't know what makes a picture look moist, but people will take classes based off what they see on social media. All right. Have you discovered your target audience? Do you know what a target audience is? All right. Are you trying to reach single mothers who have kids, who are who want to just find something to do with their kids on the weekend, or they want to get their kids involved in something? Are you trying to reach people who are professionals but want to hone in on their skills and pretty much add to their skills? If you are a chef and you are looking to teach classes to the masses and you want to teach an online class, are you trying to cater your classes to working people who don't have time to create these gourmet meals? Or are you trying to cater to people who are already in the industry, but they want to step their skill level up? So you got to figure out, what is your target audience? Are you trying to reach the ghetto population? You may, if people who are selling cakes to people who are they're doing the bottle cakes, or they're doing cakes that have all of the liquor on them, or liquor infused berries and stuff like that. Who is your target audience? Are you trying to reach Keisha? Are you trying to reach a Jacqueline? Are you or somebody on in another environment? Like, what is your target audience? You got to be able to determine that before you set the pricing for your class, which we're going to talk about. All right, what is going to set you apart from others who have possibly taught this same subject? And we talked about this earlier. If you're going to be teaching a buttercream class, what is going to set you apart from everybody else who's teaching that buttercream class? All right, now let's stop there. Anybody have any questions so far? Everybody good so far? All right. I see a nod, so that means we all right. All right. Let's go to the next. Class prep, the difference. There's a difference between online classes and in-person classes. Let me tell you this. I spoke earlier with Benet, right? With Benet, all right. We spoke earlier about this. In-person classes are way more expensive than teaching online classes. The online class, we talked about this in the last class, and I'll touch on this. An online class forces you to be very organized, very detailed. You have to create an outline of whatever you're going to teach, whatever class it is that you're putting out there. 1 second, I see we had a question in the chat. Okay, all right, we're good. Whatever you're putting out there in your for the content of your class, you need to create an outline first. So if you're going to be teaching people how to, let's say, I'm in a pasta mood and I can't eat it, so we're gonna use pasta for example. If you're teaching an online class on how to make a Cajun chicken Alfredo, which is one of my favorite pastas, and you're doing it online, you need to make sure that everything you're in a well-lit environment. First of all, it needs to be well lit, because I have seen people teach classes where it looks like they're in a damn dark room and they're doing film development. And I don't understand how people can see anything that they're doing. If you're teaching an online class, you need to make sure you're the only one there. Nobody else needs to be there, for one, because I don't need any distraction. I don't need your kids yelling in the background. I don't need your mama coming in, dipping her finger in the batter, tasting stuff. I have seen it all with people who teach online classes. I have seen kids on top of the counters. I have seen animals roaming around the kitchen. Like, all of this stuff has happened during online classes. Now, let me tell you something. You may have a splurge of people who buy your class, and you may think, oh, I did this right. I got 100 people signed up for this class. But I guarantee you, after they see one thing wrong, you will not get those same 100 people back again when you teach another class. I am on probably class number 30 something. I don't know what number it is. So there has been somewhere down the line where I've done something right, where people continue to come in and take these classes. I try to be organized with my classes. Over the years, I redeveloped things and changed things. I used to love doing live classes where you get in the group and you set a date and you teach the class live. Now, what I have learned over the years, that live classes calls for a lot of distraction, because if you are trying to mix something, or you're making something and it requires your attention while you're doing it, you don't have time to be reading comments. Also, it also takes away from the people who are taking the class. Somebody like me that has a low attention span, after about 20 or 30 minutes, you done lost me. That's why I don't like doing consultations longer than 30 minutes, because after 30 minutes, you pretty much saying the same thing over and over again, and you've lost my attention span. I don't know if it's ADHD or whatever it is, but I just don't want to hear you talk about the same thing over and over again. So I watched a video, and I was trying to help someone a couple of weeks ago with the class that they were prepping for. And the one thing that I seen in there is the editing part. So if you're creating a class and you're pre-recording the class, you need to be good at editing, because I don't want to sit here and watch you open up a pack of butter. I don't want to sit here and watch you open a carton of milk or open a pack of cake mix. It doesn't make sense. You lose the people with all of that. So if you're going to teach a class that's broke up into segments, let's just say that you're teaching a baking class, and it's a baking prep to start with everything. You want to have one video that may be the prep of you getting all the supplies together and you putting all the ingredients in and mixing all the ingredients. The next video may be showing the baking times, and you talking about the importance of spraying your pan and lining your sheets and lining your pan with sheets, squash paper, and all of that. And the last one may be you actually taking the cake out, showing them how to level the cake off and wrap the cake layers and all of that. If you break that up into 3 different videos, somebody who already know how to mix the ingredients, they can skip to the next part. They may not need that. They may want to try to figure out how are you prepping the cakes for freezing methods. So they may have just spent $25 on a class just to learn one thing out of the class. That ain't enough for you to decide, or to take away to say, well, I want them to watch the whole thing. I took a class one time, y'all, a cookie class, and when I tell you it was the most fucking boringest class I have ever watched in my life. It was the most boring class, and I actually paid for this class, and I told the person, you need to redevelop how you teach your classes, because you lose your audience because the class is so boring. You got your people in the background talking, you have holding conversations with your auntie and your mama, and all of it. It just becomes a distraction for somebody who is really trying to learn. This is why people like going to YouTube and watching stuff, because you can fast forward through it, or they get straight to the point. The average class on YouTube is less than 15 minutes. When they're showing something, they get straight to the point. It's just like TikTok videos. You can watch a TikTok video and learn more in a TikTok video than somebody teaching a whole 30-minute class. So you learn more in that little 3-minute video than a whole 30 minutes in a class. All right. So in your class preparation, you need to decide if your class is going to be an all-inclusive class. What I mean by all-inclusive, if you're doing an in-person class, do the people bring their own supplies? Are you supplying everything? Are you giving them lunch? Are you giving them a snack? All of that stuff goes into creating an inclusive class. Now, an all-inclusive class means that you need to charge more. When people are looking to teach classes and go to different places and locations, they always are underprepared. When you're teaching a class at another location, let's just say I have the cake and trap class coming up in Atlanta. There is so much prep that goes into those classes to go and teach a 4 or 5 hour class in another city. Who are you sending the supplies to? Where are you getting all the supplies in bulk from? Are you actually buying in bulk? Are you buying styrofoam in bulk? Are the people going to be decorating real cakes in your class? Or are they going to be actually making real food in your class? Are you going to have the ingredients already prepped? All of this stuff goes into creating an inclusive class, and then knowing what to charge for it. Now, in charging for anything, and I just talked about this on live a few minutes ago, when you are charging for these classes, you need to already have a breakdown. So how much is everything going to cost you before you go and start charging somebody else for the class? All right. So if I'm teaching a hands-on cake class and it's a 8-inch cake that they're doing on styrofoam, I need to factor in how much is that styrofoam is going to cost? How much is the cake drum going to cost? All of the buttercream they're going to be using, if they're going to use fondant on the cake, all of those things go into it. So when I teach in a hands-on class, I try to keep the cost of supplies under $20 to $25. Now that's just depending on what type of class it is. Now you may be teaching, like we're teaching the wedding cake class that I have here in the studio that's next Saturday. We're talking about $50 to almost $100 worth of supplies for that class, because it's a lot that goes into it. We're talking about 10 to 15 pounds of fondant. You got 6 tiers of styrofoam. You got cake drum. You got florals. All of that. You got ribbon and all the stuff that goes on there. That stuff costs. So when you're setting the price for your class, you got to make sure that you're getting something out of it as well, making a profit out of it. I've seen people that teach classes that they at the end, they actually were paying the people to take the class. So the class was set at a price that was so low that you didn't have any wiggle room in there to make a profit from the class. And if you're doing that, you're definitely doing something wrong, because you definitely want, if you're doing this, you're teaching to make a profit out of it. I mean, let's be real. If you're teaching a class, you're trying to make money off of that class. Now, I have taught some classes where in return, last year's trap and cake class, there was a $20,000 profit from the class. We're talking about after all of supplies, all the food, t-shirts, all the material, there was so $20,000 that was made off of the class, you know, in profit. That's a major class. That's a major win when you're talking about an investment like that. All right. When you're setting up groups, if you watched the last class, I actually taught everybody how to go in and set up your groups on Facebook for this. When you're teaching classes on Facebook, you're gonna get a lot. You have to be present. You have to remember that when you teach a digital class in another platform like Facebook, people always have access to you. They're always going to be in your inbox asking you questions if you allow that. Now, I don't know when somebody had a question. Oh, somebody was just coming in. All right. I don't allow all of that when you don't have access to me on Facebook just because you buy a class and you take it on Facebook. If you have a question, they need to email you or go through the proper channels to get in touch with you, because you will never rest when you hold your first class. People are gonna be in your inbox. Well, how do you do this? And I seen that you did this, and how do I do this, and all of that. If you set it up on Facebook, it's good to have a moderator, somebody that knows the class just like you do. They can go in and answer any questions that people may have within the group. It makes it a lot easier for you. It's basically like having a virtual assistant. And it could be somebody who you know, your friend, or somebody who's even taking the class that's a little bit more skilled than other people in the class. It really helps you out a lot. There are other platforms outside of Facebook. There's a app called Teachable, and it's a website that you can go on and you can set up a teaching platform, set up your entire curriculum on there. It's just like Blackboard. Those sites and things like that are going to cost you. So if you are not setting up a series of classes, and I mean like somebody who is like, if you are a chef and you're setting up a series of cooking classes, and people can go on and watch these classes at any given time, and they can advance on to the next class after they've taken the basics. That's what those platforms are set up for. It's set up just like taking a college course, but just for whatever your subject you're teaching. And it's an amazing thing, but it's also very costly. So if you're not ready to take that route, then keep using Facebook. Now, the good benefits about using Facebook is it's free. You can actually install a plugin on your web browser if you use Google Chrome. And once the class is over, you can download that video directly from Facebook to your computer and then upload it on YouTube. Now, when you upload it on, hear me when I say this now. When you create digital content, you are creating lifelong wealth, okay? Because I have classes that I have taught 10 years ago that people are still buying. Some of the classes I've gone through and updated, but people still buy them. If somebody loses, and maybe somebody may be on here to know this, if you lose access to a class, I'll just say that you failed to download the digital file for it, you got to go back and repurchase the class. Every now and then I may be nice and I'll send you the link all over again, but damn it, it's a very slim chance that it's going to happen, because as an adult, you're responsible for that. You made the purchase. You need to go and I'm telling y'all this because this is going to be your biggest problem when it comes to teaching an online class. Is everybody is going to always say, oh, I lost the link. I guarantee you right now, I probably got 20 emails. What time does the class start? But apparently, y'all knew what time it started because you on here right now. So that tells me that there's not a disconnect in what I'm doing. You just ain't following directions. And you're going to have that. You got to be extremely patient with people when it comes to this, because it will frustrate you to no end when it comes to teaching these classes. How you accept payments, all right? Anybody have any questions before we get in? You can unmute yourself and ask whatever questions you may have. I know it's a lot of information in one. We good?
I have a question. Hey,
Okay.
hey, Jeremy.
Hi.
Congratulations again. Okay, so I have a question about, you said that you have a plugin that you can download it and then you upload it onto YouTube. Do you keep that YouTube link private for the sake of?
Yes.
Okay.
So when you post your video to YouTube, it's gonna give you options on there. And I'll actually, if you remind me before we finish, I'll go into YouTube and show you those settings. But when you post it, you have to post it as unlisted, so it doesn't show up in the YouTube search. Okay. So when you're doing the videos, if you're familiar with YouTube monetization, these videos do not monetize because they're unlisted. But it does count into your views for the video, so that you're still getting the credit for all of the views and everything that goes on there, people who subscribe to your channel and all of that. So it does make it easy to set up that way, but you can't, the only people who can get that link is who you send the link to. Now, this is where it gets confusing, all right? So you may take this part, you want to really take notes on. If you are taking your video from Facebook and downloading it, or if you are creating a video outside of Facebook, and just say you're recording the video, I'm over here on my iPad and I'm recording my video, I put it in iMovie and I edit the video, and then I upload it to YouTube as unlisted, and I allow people to go on and watch the video over and over again. Now, in order for people to purchase that, if you are saying, giving the fact that you may have a website, if you have a website and people going onto your website and buying the class to be able to view it later, you got to be able to do the same thing that you did when you got on my website. And this is the part that confuses everybody. You have to create a digital file to upload to your website in order for people to be able to click on that link and purchase it. Okay. So everybody know how you got on mine. And once you click the download, there was a little download in there, and it had the little file that said, click here for the view the video and all of that right there. That's created in Word. And all it is just a Word document on there. And I just pasted the link onto there and saved it as a PDF file. Now, if you are not tech savvy on this part right here, then you need to definitely get with me on after this, or when you get ready to set up your class and put it on your website, because that part right there is about 3 steps that it always confuses everybody. They feel like, because if you have to send the link out to everybody that purchases a class, and if you're teaching like a candy apple class that's a popular class, can you imagine having to send a link out to 200 people every time somebody purchases a class? There's another reason why when we're going into now accepting payments, you need a website when you're teaching a class. You do not need to be telling people to send you a Cash App for a class. I don't care how many great instructors out there who teaching how to do candy apples, how to do bowls, or how to do cookies, or how to make buttercream, whatever it is. If you are not accepting payments through a payment processor, then you just a ghetto instructor for me. I ain't even a teacher. I mean, you just out here just teaching classes, and I'm sorry, it's ghetto. I'm not Cash Apping you no money to take no class from you. I'm sorry, I'm just not gonna do that. It's unprofessional, and it needs to be I need to be able to read what the description of the class is. Just like when you go on the website and you see all the description of what my classes are, what they entail, you put it in your cart, you pay for it, and you get a download after that. People need to be able to physically have something that's going to show them what they're getting, okay? So if you're accepting payments for classes any other way than on a website, then you need to talk to me privately so we can set you up a one-pager website or something and get you started on that, all right? Anybody got any questions?
Hello, I have a question.
Mhm.
Do you think that using the platform like Eventbrite, if you don't have a website, is okay for like a in-person class?
So the thing about Eventbrite, all right, is it's just like GoFundMe. They take do you know offhand what the percentage is?
I think they're taking like a $7. I don't know the percentage for sure.
Okay.
No, I don't.
So if you're using an Eventbrite platform, and I've only used Eventbrite like one time, one thing you're gonna learn about me is I don't like middlemen. So if I gotta pay somebody else to do something for me, like, and that I can do for myself, I'm cutting them completely out. But if it's a large event, Eventbrite does. The good thing about Eventbrite is it allows you to be seen by other people that normally wouldn't know who you are. Because I go through Eventbrite to find events of stuff to do on the weekend, and it does. I think it really is a great benefit, but you got to factor in that cost of how much they charging you and put that back into the cost of the class. So whatever that percentage is, you need to make the customer pay for that. It's just like the fees that are on when you're posting stuff on, well, giving people Cash App, the Cash App, you need to, whatever that fee is for Cash App for it, it needs to be in there. So if the class is $7 and Cash App charge you 50 cents, the class need to be $7.50, so that you're not paying that fee. All right, that makes sense. All right, anybody else? All right, locations for your in-person classes. Now, I'm not sure if the person that is on here that actually, the reason why I added this in to this actual course, but I feel like that this part of the class is where most people really want to know, because this actually could have been a whole nother class about how to secure a location, either of your own, creating a brick and mortar location, or setting up a new studio. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump right into this, and I'm gonna give you a bunch of scenarios that go into location itself. Now we all know that I'm actually in my location in the Sprinkle Me DIY studio here in Orlando. If your dream is to open up something like this, I will tell you, go for it. Do not feel like that you are, we talked about this earlier, or copying me or anything like that. Listen, I am not going to put a Sprinkle Me studio in all 50 states. I can guarantee you that. I barely want one in damn Orlando, because I really want to go back to fucking work. It is a lot of work when you are running a location, a physical location. You are going in, you have to be available every single day. It's just like opening up a bakery. I still own a bakery in Mississippi. You have to always be available every day with something that's going on in your business. I have 2 employees that are full-time employees as well. So you have to factor in all of that overhead cost when you're getting a location. Now I break it down for you, for the people that are, is anybody actually looking to open up a physical location in any given time?
Yes.
Nobody? All right, who said yes?
Oh,
Shanice.
Okay, Shanice, where are you located?
Houston, Texas.
Okay, all right, good market for it. Anybody else?
Yes,
am,
and
but-
Arnetta.
oh,
I'm sorry, Arnetta, where?
I live in Camden, Arkansas.
Okay, all right. How is the market there when it comes to cakes and everything?
It's mediocre. It's not a lot. Of course, it's a small country town, so there's not a lot of competition for sure. But in regards to activities and hands-on ability as far as cake decorating and baking, there is none here.
Okay, all right, good market. Keisha, where are you?
I'm in Apollo Beach.
And where?
Apollo Beach.
That's in Florida?
Yeah, it's like maybe about 15, 20 minutes from Tampa.
Oh, okay, okay. I gotta explore Florida. I swear I ain't been nowhere, so that might be the problem. That's another thing with having a damn studio. You can't never go nowhere because your weekends are dedicated to parties and events. Alright? So in opening up a studio, and I can be, y'all know me, I'm very transparent. The overhead costs for the studio are very minimal. One thing I did do when I went in, I as much as I preach about having business credit and setting up your business credit accounts and your DUNS number, getting your EIN and everything good, the one thing I'm going to always tell you is have some capital. You need to have some money already in the bank so that you don't owe nobody no money when it comes time to do something. Now, my studio, I got the keys on a Monday when I came back from Mexico. I had the contractor guy in here on a Tuesday. I met a guy that was from the Dominican Republic. I met him on Facebook Yard Sales on Marketplace. If you don't know me, I am a marketplace guru. If your business is lacking, Facebook Marketplace is the place where you need to be promoting your business. It's free. You can find good labor. You could find anybody to do anything on there. I met Jorge on there. He was from the Dominican Republic. Y'all, I got the keys on Monday. I could have opened up shop on Thursday if I wanted to. I mean, everything in here was done. Painting on the walls, Only thing that took me longer, the reason why I waited is because I needed the print material stuff. It was stuff that I wanted, aesthetically that I wanted in the studio before I actually opened up to the public. I could have opened the first week and started teaching class as soon as I got in here. The place was already turnkey. So all I had to do was put in tables. The initial investment into opening the studio was probably about maybe $10,000 to $12,000. And that's with all of the stuff that I wanted in here, the front register systems, the cabinetry, refrigeration, the coolers and stuff and racks, all of that stuff played a factor into it. I was in here ready to go. I could have just started right then. It wasn't until later that I added in a stove and all of that stuff, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute, okay? In the beginning, and people don't want to tell you this type of stuff because they feel like they're giving away too much of their business. You're getting in their business. But I'm gonna be very transparent with you when I say this. You need to establish a very good relationship with your city officials when you are getting ready to open something. One thing that I learned about Florida is huge for small businesses. They will help you all the way. They ain't like your car note people. When you late on your taxes, they ain't about to come repossess your damn business. None of that. Matter of fact, some taxes I didn't even know about it. I had to be filed for. They just called me. It was months later and said, "Hey, Mr. Jones, we noticed that you have the business. We noticed you missed a couple of payments, and we want to help you figure out what it is that we need to do. Or is it something that you didn't know?" Baby, if I would have been in Mississippi, they would have came up in there ready to shut shit down. Y'all read the book. Y'all know how they did me there. It's totally different here in Florida. Even with opening up this location, one of the major things I will tell you about opening up is keep it simple in the beginning. When you file your paperwork, you keep it simple. If you're opening up a studio like this, you're not opening up a bakery. You're opening up an office space. Okay, it's an office space, and you're just teaching classes in your office. All right. When I opened this, I did do the front as a retail license. So I have a retail license, a wholesale license, and all of that. These licenses, y'all, all this stuff is less than $200. And for all these different licenses, and it's just shit that's involved in the city just to say you got a business. Okay. So when I opened up, it is not listed as a bakery. On Google, it's listed as a bakery and it's listed as a cooking school, but that's a marketing ploy. So when people are Googling what Sprinkle Me is, they say, "Oh, it's a cooking school." So when they're searching things in Orlando, I'm at the top for cooking schools because the reviews have been 5-star reviews all the way down. So it pushed me way above some of the other cooking locations that are in Orlando. We ain't a cooking school. We just do cakes. But when people call and say, "Well, hey, do you do cakes or can I order a cake?" Sure, because now you've opened opportunities for something else. So that location is important, and it's very important on how you word it. I didn't add a stove in until after all the inspections and everything was in. Because had I done that in the beginning, they would have said, "Well, is it a bakery?" Because now you're baking things or you cooking things. Now I have a stove. I can teach culinary classes in here. I mean, we can teach baking classes, and it still all falls under the same thing of their studio being a open studio for teaching classes. So basically all I have is a painting with a twist, but with cakes. You don't need a bakery license for that. And that's exactly how I explained it when I went to the city. It is a painting with a twist. And when I said that, boom, that got me right in the door. They knew then I don't need no health permit. I don't need none of that. And one of the greatest benefits of it, you can't see this, but there's an open bar over here. There's a bar on one side of me. There's a food location over here. And all of that is because I went right in and I asked the same questions that other people do when they open things up that we don't get opportunities for a lot of times. Well, how is the nail salon serving wine? How is Painting with a Twist serving wine and they ain't got no liquor license? So I asked these questions when I went to the city. I wanted to talk to them face to face. And you know what the lady did? She pulled me outside and she said, "Mr. Jones, let me tell you what they did. It's complimentary. Everything you list is complimentary." So when I'm teaching classes, I always tell, "Oh, it comes with it. It comes with it." Because it's already factored into the cost of the class. A bottle of wine costs you $11. Now I can drink a bottle of wine by myself, but when people are taking a class, they ain't drinking but a glass. They ain't coming in here to get lit unless we in like cake and sips. So somebody asked about that. That's coming on later on. So when you're doing those type of events, yeah, people coming, but guess what? It's a whole bar over there, and they say tips are encouraged. So whoever over there pouring the stuff, they go, you still getting the money out of it. I mean, you ain't gonna you spend $20 on a bottle of Tito's, you gonna use that one bottle for about 10 classes. Unless you got some straight alcoholics in there. They not gonna drink a whole bottle of Tito's in one class, all right? So when you're determining your location for your classes, there are so many different location outlets out there that you can use. Peerspace is number one on my list for finding a location. If you don't know about Peerspace, it is an amazing, it's just like Airbnb, but for businesses. You can find your location, where if you find your location that has a kitchen in it, you can find locations that are like photography spaces or every little thing that you can, if you want to look for an event space, you can find on there. And some of them are like $60 an hour, all the way up to $200 and $300 an hour, based on what type of location you're looking for. Now, before you set up a class and put it out there telling people how much it costs, you need to factor in the cost of it. Because if the venue is $1,000 and you only charging $50 for the class, and you only got 5 people in the class, the math ain't mathing. Somebody ain't doing something right. And somewhere along the line, your business methods are off. So you got to factor in all of that when it comes to teaching the class. Private venues. Now, the only problem I have with private venues, let's just say that you contacted me and you want to teach a class at my location. All you got to do, I got to set up easy, because I've seen this happen with people. They go to these locations and they teach, and the people who are teaching the classes or holding the classes, they negotiate this deal with them. Now, I'll tell you one of the things, and this is a real story. I was supposed to teach a class in a location, and I didn't find out about the split for the class until later on, after the class was advertised. I went into this thinking that the class was going to be like a 50-50 thing, or 80-20, or whatever, because I'm providing everything. I'm coming there. My name is on it. So they're coming to your location because I'm there. They ain't coming because you got a class or something. They're coming because I'm there. And I had to tell the person, let's be real. They would not be coming to your shit shack if I wasn't there. And that's exactly that's how I felt about it at the time, because at the end, they pretty much told me that it was going to be 15% of the sales of the class. So $300 class, and I'm only getting 15% of it. Bitch, you got me fucked up in a nutshell. Like, you really got me. Like, you can't negotiate these type of rates with somebody that's coming into a location. So you got to be very, very specific in your contract when you're going somewhere teaching a class at somebody's location, because they will capitalize off of you, especially if you're teaching something that people really want to learn, and it's going to bring a lot of highlights to their location. So I have a very, very easy thing. If you come in here to teach a class, you go on the website and you book it yourself. You book the time slot for it. I don't want none of your damn money from the class. You know what I'm saying? I'm only charging you for the location. That's it. I don't think that I'm entitled to any of the money from your students because you're teaching a class in my venue. That does not make sense at all. And people who do that, if you have a location and you thought about doing it, unthink it, because that's wrong from an instructor standpoint, that somebody's coming into your location and they're teaching a class and you getting something off the back end for it. Why? You ain't did no work. You ain't did nothing but let them come in the building. So think about that when it's come to there. All of the associated costs with actually teaching a class in person can be huge. You got if you're the travel fees, all of the supplies that go into it, the materials that you're going to be using with them. Are you going to be providing food? That is one of the major costs that come in. If somebody's taking a class over 4 or 5 hours, you need to feed them. You need to give them a bottle of water, a bag of chips, a cookie, or a sandwich, or something. Because I have seen people who have taken 8-hour-long classes and they've given them a lunch break and told them to go and get lunch at a class. You know what I'm saying? We talking about, and this is one of the problems I had with Trap and Cake last year. It was because it was at a hotel venue, it was hard to be able to factor in the food into the cost of it, because this was my mistake, factoring in the food into the cost of the price of the class. Because we pretty much, we didn't think about that, because the hotels, when you're teaching a class in the hotels, you got to use their catering services, their beverage packages, and all of that. You got to meet a food and beverage minimum. Now, this year, I got smart. I found a Black-owned location in Atlanta that already had an event space. It was a beautiful event space, 5 minutes from the airport. People can come straight from their flight and come to the class, and they want to leave back out that night, they can fly right back out. Also, I was able to have my own bartender. I can bring in my own food, all of that stuff. So when I set the price of the class, I thought about all of this. Now the people can eat, they can drink, they can get on a 360 booth, they can do all of that stuff in the class, and you feel like you've really got something, you got your money's worth out of it. I never want nobody to take a class and walk away feeling like they just got me. They beat me out my money, man. You know what I'm saying? And I've taken classes from people online, and I just was like sitting there in the class, like, I can't believe I spent no fucking $20 on this. I could have went and bought some, I could have got some wings or something with this. So make sure that you get to know the people, and you're putting out there some good quality information, and you're teaching in a location, because I've seen people teach in hood locations. I mean, there's some places that I would not go to. Even when I taught my class in New York, I found locations that people felt safe in going to. So you got to do that. All right. Questions? All right. We get right there. All right. So let's get into this. Somebody asked me about how to set up. I'm not sure if they on here. If you on here, you can speak up, because you can actually ask your question like you needed to. How do you set up a cake and sip class? Okay. That person here. Somebody asked the question on here, what about the square footage would you recommend? Is that the square footage? Are you asking about square footage for an actual building if you're looking at the open a building? Okay, all right. Yes. So I've seen people that have 500 and 600 square feet. I mean, really the size of a 1-bedroom apartment is enough space if you really want to be honest. If you're looking to teach 6 to 8 people, then cool. My location is about 1,800 square feet. I can fit probably up to about 30 students in here for a class that I feel comfortable for me to walk around. And I probably could do more. But that's enough people for you to be able to maneuver around and ask people questions if they need help or anything. For the cake and sip event, somebody had asked about that. I think that when you're doing those things like that, it's a quick money maker. You basically, all you're doing is going to Sam's Club and buy some cakes. That's the first thing you want to do, is to get you some cakes or something from Sam's Club, and that you're not baking all of these cakes in your location, because if you're doing all that, then you really wasting money. It's just like when I was telling people about the $1 cupcake sales. If you selling cupcakes for $1 and you ain't making no profit off of it at the end, it's because you didn't follow the smart method by going to Sam's Club and buying a damn case of cupcakes and infusing them with your own flavor and your own buttercream and making your money that way. That's how you really make some money off of a $1 cupcake sale. A case of cupcakes costs $26. There's 100 cupcakes in that case. You do the damn thing. There, now you making some money. All right. So if you've talked to me before, you've heard me say this before. All right. So Keisha, you got a question? Go ahead.
I don't have a question. I have a statement, because I wanted to do the cake and sip, but I was like, I'm not making all them damn cakes.
We never do. All right. I'll take you. And here I'm at the studio. So when I have 2 refrigerators here in the studio, one is, I've talked about this in the past, one is a freezer, one is a refrigerator, but they both convert to freezer and refrigerator. This is on Best Buy. If you have Home Depot or Lowe's near you, you can get them out of there. But you want to get one that is convertible, because you need a refrigerator for if you're going to be doing this in a studio, and you definitely need a freezer. So the freezer thing, this is always stocked with cakes. I mean, all Sam's Club. Listen, the Sam's Club workers know me by name. They know my employees by name. Everything that we utilize in the studio, we go on to Sam's Club for it. buttercream, cakes, all that stuff like that. You're gonna be buying a lot of stuff in bulk when you come to teaching these classes like this. All right. So setting up a cake and sip or whatever you want to call it, cake and chat or cake and chew, whatever it is, even food people who are doing stuff like this. It's really simple. Okay. The price I set is a $60 for the class. And y'all, if you've been to Sam's Club, you know that a case of them cakes probably cost, I want to say it's $35 now. I stacked the cake 3 layers high in the classes. They're 5-inch cakes. I'm not doing no work. I'm giving them a little, I'll take y'all on a little tour of this stuff. Everybody has a basket on their table. And the basket pretty much has all the supplies that you need for the class. Your basic stuff, you know, your spatulas, your angle spatula and bench scrapers, the basic stuff that you'll need. Piping bags, all of this stuff you want to buy in bulk. All right. If it's a restaurant depot near you, it's good to go in there, pick up stuff. But you have to think about everything when you come to doing these little things like these little cake and sip things. The boxes, cake boxes. I keep all of those. So it's always a bulk of stuff like this. Cake boxes, the cake boards that we use in the classes, all the way down to if you're opening up a retail space. If you notice, even on my website, the supplies on the website, I only sell what we use in classes. I ain't no supply store. So when people come in and say, oh, I want to buy some stuff and do you carry such and such? We only carry what we use in classes because I don't want to be labeled as no damn supply store. When you have a supply store, it's so much money being spent out because you're sitting on that inventory. I mean, if you have to buy 1,000 of something, like I have a contract with Satin Ice. Ain't nobody really buying funded like that, you know, because everybody don't do funded cakes, especially here in Florida because of the humidity. So if you like literally having all of this stuff sitting around, it's a waste of money. Who's buying it if you just sitting on the inventory? Okay. So we only sell things that we use in the classes, and it's so beneficial because when you do that, people are now buying the stuff in the classes. So after class, they want to buy that stuff because they want to go home and try it. One of the questions on here, how do you feel about teaching one-on-one virtual classes? So the reason why I don't offer virtual one-on-one classes is because I know most of the time the problem that people be having when it comes to them doing cakes is because they don't fucking listen. They don't listen. They bought all the classes. They done watched all the videos, but they are not applying the knowledge that they're seeing. I'm a visual person, so I can watch something and I can get it just like that. Some people are hands-on people, and my degree is in English education, so I understand that people learn on different levels. But when it comes to teaching virtual classes, I'm not there to teach you how to hold your spatula the right way. I can look across the room in here and see when somebody's doing something wrong because I've been doing it so long. I know what your issues are just looking at your cakes. But the virtual classes, the virtual one-on-one classes, I know people who do them and they charging $200 and $300 for a virtual class. You think about this, a $300 virtual class for you to teach somebody something in an hour, that's $300 for 1 hour. I don't know nowhere else that nobody making that kind of money unless they selling crack. But I mean, you ain't making that kind of money in an hour. But the problem are people really getting it? Are they actually getting something out of it? Because I've taught virtual classes and I stopped in the middle of the class and told the girl, listen, this ain't working. I'm just gonna refund you your money. Because one, you ain't listening. Your kids running around in the background. It's too many factors to go into virtual class. I just personally don't like them. Now, if you got people, if you're gonna lay the rules out there for people, hey, you gotta be in a well-lit place. You need to have a ring light. You need to be by a window. You need to have all these supplies laid out. But you think about when you're teaching virtual classes, you gotta sit there and wait on that person. Like if their cake is going in the freezer, you have to sit there and wait for their cake to freeze for 15 to 20 minutes. You gotta wait for them to ice the cake when you far ahead already and ice yours. So it's too many factors to go into virtual classes, one-on-ones that I don't like. It's a waste of time for me. All right. Keon asks, if teaching a class in person, is it best to do a hands-on class where they watch you and can participate in what you are doing. That is a demo. So when I'm doing something here in Orlando, where I'm doing a Orlando Bakers Connect, where I'm going to invite all bakers and treat makers out for like a brunch style event where it's like a demo, but it's really to connect all of the people in the baking industry so that we know who each other's are, because one person can't service a whole community. People are always talking about how much competition it is in Orlando because everybody do cakes in Orlando. Yeah, they do. Everybody do cakes, but goddamn it, Orlando is huge. There's a whole lot of parts to Orlando, so you can't service everybody in Orlando. So it's good to meet with people so that you can connect with them and be able to refer people to other people when you can't do something or they refer people to you. So when doing a in-person class, I think it's always best to let people do it because people learn from their mistakes. When I teach the cake and sip classes, I allow them to follow me along. Somebody to mute. I hear echo. They might have just came. All right, good. All right. When I'm teaching the hands-on in-person classes with the cake and sip, I allow them to do exactly what I do. So when I start icing the cake, they start with me, and I walk around and see what everybody's doing. Now, teaching in-person classes, if you don't have any help with you, it is a lot of work. You got to be in one place in all these places at one time. So like this Friday, we have the Mother's Day class. It's 20 people in that class already sold out already. And I got to, if I didn't have my assistants here, I got to be in everywhere. So somebody need help smoothing their cake. Somebody don't know how to put ice in the bag. And you got to assume that when somebody's taking a class with you, that they don't know anything. Even if they coming in and say they know how to do stuff, you got to assume that they don't know nothing. Next Saturday, I'm teaching an advanced wedding cake class. I guarantee you it's going to be somebody in here that don't know how to do rosettes, but signed up for an advanced class on doing wedding cakes. So it's always going to be somebody in the class that you got to spend more time with. And then you got to be able to understand that you got 19 other people outside of that 20 that are demanding your attention as well. So you can't focus all of your attention on one person. Okay. What is the best way to do a split payment on classes? So when you say a split payment, are you meaning like you're paying somebody to come in, or you got to pay them to teach in their place or something?
No, I mean, like, let's just say I have a class that's $300, and let's say you could pay down $150 now and pay the other $150 2 or 3 weeks before the class starts.
Oh, so the reason why I like this is because I don't like doing payment plans with people. And the reason why I don't like it is because they don't never finish paying for that shit. But what I do love about my website is with Sezzle and Shopify Pay, they can go on and set up those payment accounts and set up the how to do it in increments and the 4 payments, and they can default on them payments, and Sezzle got to deal with them. I ain't got to deal with them because with Sezzle, you get your money up front. So if the class was $600, I got my $600. I don't care if you didn't pay but $120 for the class on your side. I've already got my money. So when it comes to doing split payments, you gotta also be careful. And I can use one of my friends as an example. Portia does the retreat, the Bradshaw Cake Retreat every year, and you do have that option of where you make your first payment and then you have to go on and make your next payment and all of that. But the problem is, what happens when the people get all the way to the end and decide they don't want to make no more payments, or they change their mind about coming? So they've lost. One thing you got to remember, you got to put it in Word in the contract or on your website or wherever you posting it, that if they've already made payments, those payments are now gone. They're non-refundable and they're non-transferable. No, you can't transfer that payment to somebody else, because for my classes, I've already bought supplies. So whether or not you decide you want to come or not, the payments have already been applied to something else. So you don't have that luxury to say, oh, well, I'm not coming because I got this going on. Well, I'm sorry, you just lost $300. So when you're doing that in payments like that, if you're setting it up on the website for them to do it, you got to hound people down about making their next payment. Because if you depending on those payments to pay for your venue, you really got a problem. Did that make sense? Did I answer your question here?
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? This y'all time now. I know y'all had a whole list of things because I was in my email with a whole bunch of questions. All right. What are your thoughts
I got
on
a question. Oh, I'm
one-on-ones?
sorry.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Let me answer this one right quick, then come back. All right. What are your thoughts on one-on-ones in your home kitchen? If you remember, I taught all of my classes at my house for years. I don't have no problem with it. I think that it's fine. You're already paying rent at the damn house. You might as well use it for everything. So rent or mortgage, get all that you want can get up out of it. You ain't got no overhead costs at all. Now I've taught up when I had my last place that I lived, because I live downtown. I could teach 4 people on my bar, and it was enough room. Or I could have put folding tables in the living room, but the place is so big, and taught classes in the living room. So I don't have no problem with it. I think it's good. The problem comes in if you ain't got a separate refrigerator to be putting stuff in, then you can only do that one person, like that. All right. Who did I cut off? I didn't know who was asking.
It was me.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I just need a suggestion. So I was thinking about teaching classes before, right? So I had made me a little list of all the supplies that I needed. So just help me out, make sure I ain't missing nothing. I had spatulas, bench scrapers, boards, bags, tips, aprons. And I think that was all I had wrote down. Am I missing anything before I try to teach a class and I can't remember
whatever? Whatever. So what I always suggest before I teach a class, I actually do what I'm going to teach first. So as I'm doing so let's just say I'm going to do a drip cake. I'll write down everything that I use on that drip cake. So I'll start the board. I got to put the board down, and I also like to put how much the stuff costs as I'm writing, so that way I can keep up with how much I've spent just on this one cake. So your board, your foam if you're using styrofoam, the spatula, the buttercream, the bench scraper, the drip, the tips that you're gonna be using, the gold leaf if you're using that, any florals that you're using. So everything that you're gonna do on the cake, you write everything down. And that's how you determine your list of what you'll need. Especially if you're teaching an online class, you need to be able to list out all the supplies that they're going to need for the class. Because I took one class that I had paid good money for on an online class, and the class was like about $300, and it was an online class. For $300, I would think that you're going to be sending me the shit that I need for the class. So and it wasn't a description on there, and she didn't say it until afterwards in the group. You will need to purchase X, Y, and Z, and you need to build such and such. I'm like, I'm not building shit. All for $300, give my damn money back, because I'm not going to be going out here buying all this stuff. Now, some classes that you teach online, I think is good. Like I'll use an example like Millie P. If you're familiar with Millie P classes, like her arch classes, the arch buttercream cake classes. If she was to teach a class on arch buttercream and it was an inclusive class, and she actually sent you the supplies that you needed, so sent you the little grids and whatever little scraper that you'll need and all that for it, it'll be a huge thing, because I feel like you're getting something out of it. I physically have this. I can work along with you and beside you. Same way with people who want to teach, and I'm gonna give y'all this. Y'all know I'm real. I'm transparent, because I don't care about if you go and do it, because you ain't gonna be me. So one of the things that I want to do later on in the year is offer a cake kit for people who are just starting out baking. So they have everything. You got your piping bag, your tip, your spatula, the pans that you're going to use, the cake mix, the buttercream, all of that is in this one kit. But along with that is a video that goes along with it, and it tells you everything that you do step by step to create that cake like that. Because I don't like classes. Honestly, I don't even like watching classes online, because they be too long. Like I told you earlier, my attention span is low. So for you to be able to break it down and you can actually do that, it can be a huge investment. So if you have a desire to teach online classes and you want to be able to have people to follow along with you, you need to break it down. Go watch some YouTube videos on how to edit your videos in iMovie or some of these Adobe Suite programs, so that you can create a quality class. Now, if you got a little bit of coins and you can pay somebody to come in and record the class for you, that's even better. because that class is going to generate so much revenue. So however much money you spent on getting it recorded, you're going to make that money back way more. I remember when I first did the bundle, the online class bundle, and it was only like 10 or 15 classes at that time when I first did that. The first day I put that bundle out there with those classes, I made $25,000 overnight. I posted it at midnight. When I got up the next morning, it was over $25,000 in payments from those classes. These are digital classes. Like, what did it cost me? Nothing. We talking about a few fucking apples, some strawberries in some of the classes I did, cake mix that was already at the house. So I wasn't out of anything. You know what I'm saying? When you create digital content, you create lifelong wealth because people are going to be buying these classes forever. Every time I get new followers, if I reach another 1,000 followers, I go post that bundle. You know how many times people done pay for that bundle? I can go on here and look at my order history. Some people have bought the same bundle 4 and 5 times because they was careless with the information the first time and didn't save it. So people gonna keep buying the same material over and over again. There's gonna be something that you didn't get or you missed. And when, just like this class, I taught this class 2 years ago, and then now information has changed. So I'm in an actual brick and mortar studio space that other people want to learn how to do as well. So things change. So it's new information. So when you update stuff, you go in. Some stuff I just go in groups and I just randomly do and update the information in there just at random, and it ain't no charge to them. But that's at your discretion because you hold the information. People want to learn what you know. You're the teacher. You are the expert at what you're teaching. Okay. Would you recommend renting a space first or buying a location as far as getting a studio? Let me tell y'all something. I'm a renter for life. I know people be saying that there is a huge investment in real estate and all of that, but I'm young. I like to go too much. I don't like being tied down to one thing. So if I rent this space and just say I bought this space, and then this became like the whole idea of this concept grew bigger, and I needed space for like 100 people versus 30 people. So what do I do now? I gotta go sell this one and go buy another location. Hell no. I sign a leasing agreement and I rent this one, and if I need to grow and expand, I go rent another place. Now, I mean, everybody varies on that because y'all people that own houses, y'all will argue people down that, buying versus renting is the best thing ever. But when you buy something, you're tied down to it too. You gotta wait to try to sell it. When I'm renting, I can leave whenever I want to. I can pull up a U-Haul in the middle of the night and load all my shit up like y'all do. You know, you done did that at apartments when you want to break your lease. Pull up in the middle of the night with a U-Haul, load all that shit, and you gone. We done all did it because I know I did it a couple times. But you ain't tied down to something. So I like the fact that I can rent. And then when things need to be fixed, the most expensive thing in a commercial property is the HVAC system. If that air conditioner go out, you got to pay for that in your own place. If my air go out, I'm going to walk my ass right out this building on around to the back there to the owner that owns a suite back here as well. And hey, come on, the air messed up. Now, and I've had that problem where the breaker had flipped and we didn't know, we thought the air was completely out. They came right over. They sent their maintenance team right over because they know the importance of having air. First of all, we in Florida. Hell, you better be running no fans in here. So, I mean, those are things like that you need to consider when you are buying something. You got to be responsible for that. Do you think it's better to start with concepts or do specific creations of a cake design? In the studio, I do the cake design. I create whatever the cake design is, even with the birthday parties. I know people want to do parties and stuff. On weekends, we hold birthday parties, and sometimes we do it through the week as well. I'm gonna tell you this: birthday parties are a really, really good moneymaker because our party started at $500, and it comes with like 3 pizzas. I got to deal with Pizza Hut because everybody don't like Little Caesars, even though them pizzas is $5 hot and ready. For me, I think Pizza Hut tastes better, so I get large pieces from Pizza Hut, and they only charge me $10 for the pizza. So I order 3 pieces for the parties and they go from there. Now, excuse me, for the adult parties, I have my catering company, Teal Kitchen. They cater all of the parties. There is a contract that I give to them and let them know you can't bring it. It's just like an event space. You've gone to event spaces where you can't bring in outside catering, you can't bring in outside alcohol. That's how my studio is set up. I already have contracts with people who I want to use for my studio. Why do I do that? Because I become less liable. If somebody gets sick off the food that somebody has brought into the studio or let somebody else cater, they're gonna be trying to sue me and that person because they ate the food in my studio. No, no, no. I deal with my own people because they already have their own insurance. So if somebody gets sick or something, they got to deal with them, not me. You consume that food, you made the contract with them. You know what I'm saying? So it pretty much keeps you safe in that aspect. When I'm doing cake designs and stuff, I create the design. Whatever it is that I want to do, or if somebody is taking a private class, then they can tell me, hey, I'm having trouble in this area and I need help with X, Y, and Z. The difference with teaching a class in your studio versus doing it in somebody else's place is you set the pricing. When you go to somebody else's place, you got to pretty much account for you getting there, all of those factors of paying that person for the studio or a space or whatever you're gonna do. Here, people be like, "Oh man, your classes are cheap." Yeah, because I own the place; it's mine. I ain't got to be charged. I don't got to pay nobody else. So you may do really the cake and sip events and a couple of parties a month. Pay the rent. The rent in this place is $2,500, and that sounds like a huge number for somebody who is a home baker and you're trying to figure out like what am I gonna do? But you got to think about it. I already had a following before I opened up a space. The problem where people mess up at is they go into a space thinking that people are gonna come and support you. Do not let people psych your head up to think that you're gonna go into somewhere and they're gonna support you. Oh, girl, you need to open up a bakery. Your work is so good, you should open up a bakery. People open up bakeries, and the same people that told them to open up one ain't never set foot in it. So don't let nobody psych you up thinking that you can open up something and people are just gonna automatically come and support you. It takes money for advertisement, Google advertisement, Facebook, Instagram, all those ad spaces, that costs money. So you need to be able to factor into your monthly income and your monthly expenses, the amount that you need to spend on marketing. Marketing alone is one of the things that's going to take you over the top from everybody else. Yes, yeah, 2,500 is really good for here in Florida. Now, what I did do, what most people don't do, is they walk right around. Everybody do this, and this is probably what makes me a business minded person. I don't just go walk into locations. And when I was looking for a location in Orlando, I didn't just go say, "Oh yeah, this is a nice spot right here. You know, I want to go there. This is a busy traffic spot right here." No, I looked at the census. I looked at the census and I looked at the area and I spoke with the developers in the area to find out what was coming to the area that I was in. So the area that I'm in is on a main highway. If you're familiar with Orlando, this is John Young Parkway. It's a very, very busy highway, and it's in the area where it's considered an industrial area. But what I found out that they were doing plans for years later was creating what's called now a packing district. So all of this stuff is over here. They're creating new development. There's condos over here that start at 500K. So you think about that now. So as soon as I seen that they got condos that starting at 500K and townhouses and new houses, oh, that means that the people coming over here got some damn money. If you paying 500K for a condo, yeah, you can definitely come in here and spend $60 on a class or $100 on a class or something like that. So when you're looking for locations and spaces to actually go into, you need to do your market research and find out, one, is there another place in the area that's just like yours? Ain't nothing on this entire strip that's identical to what I'm doing. John Young goes all the way through Orlando, and ain't nobody on this entire strip got a DIY cake studio. It may be bakeries in the area, but there's nobody doing this. This is the first DIY cake studio in Orlando. Now, yeah, it's people that got supply stores that teach classes, but it's not considered a cake studio. It's a supply store, which is why I didn't want to be labeled as a supply store. Now it sets me apart. Everything I do is part of the marketing. So you got to understand that when you're thinking about stuff, when they say think outside of the box, baby, you got to think outside of your wallet. You got to be thinking farther ahead. So in understanding that it may not have been nothing on this strip when I first got it, but now they got damn apartment complexes over here. One bedroom start at 2,500. So I mean, you got to think about like all of these people are going to be coming into this area now. So that's when you're looking for locations. do your market research.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So I'm thinking about doing like opening like a kids package for like birthday parties. But my
Mhm.
thing is like if you're in the studio and you're teaching in class, you're able to put cakes in a refrigerator for like crumb coat. How do you skip that part if you're
Oh,
like
we've
out
done that
if I
many
go to
times.
somebody's home?
So this is going to be a factor in too. When if you're setting up in somebody's house, it's going to be certain things you're going to be limited to doing. So when especially like if the cakes are not already frozen, you're going to have a problem. Because even before we started getting into a little bit more intricate cakes in the studio, I wasn't even having them put the cakes in and out of the freezer. They were decorating the cakes all at one time because the cakes were already stacked up and they were frozen. So when we started decorating, they continued to decorate the entire cake. Because there are plenty of cakes that you can decorate in one sitting and not have to go back into the refrigerator and freeze them. So if you're doing like kids classes, I would definitely suggest only doing like maybe single cakes. So you just got one tier. So it may just be a 6-inch round, and out of that 6-inch round, they may be making that 6-inch round into a flower or an animal or something for the kids. Or you doing cupcake classes. The easiest thing to do with kids is cupcakes and creating the little kits. So taking the little bins, I ain't got one over here, but like these little, creating little bins like this, going to Dollar Tree and putting everything into little containers so that when you go and set up at the place, all you're doing is putting the container on the table. And everybody open up their containers, just like I have the little trays in here. Everything is already in one little compartment, and it makes it easy for you to travel to different locations. That makes sense?
Yes, thank you. And one more question. When you're
Uh-huh.
doing like a cake and sip, how are you measuring out buttercream? Like, would I bring extra to make sure that they're, because like people will put extra buttercream. So I'm trying to
Okay.
figure out a method to measure out how much buttercream do I need to bring to these events.
Okay. So these containers here are 12 cup containers. Now from this one container, I can do a 2-tier cake from these 12 cups of buttercream in here. And it's normally still some buttercream left over, depending on what kind of design you're doing now. If you're doing rosettes or something, of course, it's gonna take a lot of buttercream. But what you should do is, back to the question that somebody asked earlier about the supplies, when you need to do the cake first. So that way you know how much you're using on it. Because if I know how much it takes for me to do it, then they should be using the same thing or maybe a little bit more, because some people waste stuff or drop stuff. So you got to account for all that. So if you're doing it this way by bringing these containers like this, just bring a couple of extra ones. Because it can be very time consuming packing up buttercream and all that. And you shouldn't be making it anyway for no class. If you're definitely teaching classes, ain't no way you should be making buttercream at any hands-on class unless you are teaching a class on how to make buttercream. That's a whole different thing.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Okay. So, and first of all, this is amazing. Like I needed this. Okay, so for marketing, how long do you suggest to market? Like, what's your time frame between putting the cake class out there, marketing leading up until the cake class is actually going to happen?
Good question. When I do Cake and Trap, I started marketing it in the beginning of the year. That class is in July, but I already had started putting that out there in January, February. And it depends on what type of class that you're actually doing. I say this because if it's like, let's just say you wanted to do a Mother's Day class, you should have been doing that April the 1st, putting that information out there. One of my students actually taught a class a couple of weeks ago, and I seen the post, but I remember seeing it, and it was like very few posts. And then when I seen they had actually taught the class, it was only one person in the class. And I'm contributing that to, there was not enough advertisement for the class, or you didn't put any investment into like promo videos of you doing stuff. Are you actually showing If you teaching a class, you got to show people what they're doing. You know, I've seen people put flyers out there and say, hey, I'm going to be teaching my first hands-on class. And you don't even show people what they're doing. Then they get there and they learn how to do a damn rosette cake. I don't want to do no fucking rosette cake if I done spent $100, you know, to come somewhere. You know, there's nothing wrong with, because that's my favorite design to do. But let me know ahead of time what I'm doing before I get there. So you need to actually do the cake and post it so people can see what they're doing. Do you practice, run, and write and measure everything? That's what I'm going. Yes, definitely do practice runs on everything. I'm doing a cake now. The one that y'all seen in the freezer, it was a black cake in there. That's one of the designs that I'm actually doing in one of the classes for next month. So I needed to go ahead and practice exactly what I'm going to do before I put it out there. So when I post the picture of the cake, most of the time you see a lot of cakes and people think that, oh man, that's an order or something. Half of the time I got an abundance of styrofoam in here. There's no need in wasting all of that damn cake every time you want to do something. And that's a great way to build your portfolio. So for people that want to teach like wedding cake classes or teach kids classes to people, you need to build a portfolio of things that you're going to be teaching. So people can go through your website or your catalog, just like they go to Sam's Club and order cakes. They can go through your catalog and see, oh, I want to take this class. If you want to teach the basics of cake decorating, if that's your strong point, is getting sharp edges and teaching people how to do stuff like that, then let that be your first class. I don't care. People be like, do you get mad when somebody go out and teach something that you taught? No, I don't give a damn, because you ain't gonna teach it like me. I don't care if you do it or not. It's people that teach my upside down method all over the world. And I know they took my classes because I done seen them purchase it. So I don't care if they go and do it. If you come here and take a class, what you do with that information is yours after that. Unless it is something that's copyrighted material, that's a different story. But it's kind of hard to copyright something that everybody is already doing. All right, next person.
Yeah, you may have already answered this question, but like when you do your in-studio classes, like your cake and silk, so do you actually skip the method of letting the icing crust, putting it in the freezer or anything like that, or you just do?
No, we do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we do that in the studio classes. Because I have the space to put the cakes in, I teach them the whole way through. And what the format of, because I tell y'all, you know, you need to be able to have a format of how you're gonna do your classes. So my format for Cake and Sip is the class starts at 6 o'clock. I tell everybody ahead of time they need to be there on time, at least 5 minutes before the class, and come in and get settled and get seated or whatever. Normally in the beginning, we are letting people get wine, or, you know, they're talking amongst themselves, taking pictures or doing whatever. By 6:05 at the latest, I'm starting class. That's like, I'm very big on time, and I like people to respect my time, and I respect theirs. So we normally get started. We start off the class. My assistants bring out all of the cakes. Everybody is getting set up. I go over the materials that are in the bins, letting them know how to use all the materials that are in the bins. We go into the first part of the first session of the class is actually icing the cake. So we're putting our crumb coat of icing on the cake. After that is done, we go ahead and let them put the cakes back in the freezer. Everybody write their name on their board, and their cakes go in the freezer. We go right into food. So everybody is able to eat then. We have all the food, drinks, they get to do all that, and they're talking amongst themselves. Really, the Cake and Sip class is really, they get a lot out of that class, because I go into talking about business in there. We ain't just going in there we have fun, but I give them an entire business lesson about, you know, the industry and everything while we're doing these classes. And really, that's just filler information, because the cakes are in the freezer. I need time to let them freeze, and while people just sitting here looking at my face like, okay, what we do next? Once they eating all that, we take the cakes right back out. We get started going into the next part, which may be another coat of icing and adding in the decor or anything. Now, we're doing floral cakes. The cakes go back in the second time. That's the third time when we're sitting out here, they're preparing their flowers. So I'm letting them go ahead and wrap their stems. So there's something to be done throughout all of the class. You ain't just sitting here playing with your hands trying to figure out what we're gonna do next. All right. Anybody else got a list of questions on their list?
I have a question.
Mhm.
So I have a lot on my plate right now. I'm a full-time vascular ultrasound technologist. I'm a full-time doctoral student, and
Ooh.
I'm a baker. And so, but my goal is to get out of the hospital, okay? And I want to work from home and, doing hospital administrative work, and then have my own bakery or cake studio. So what
Okay.
would be your advice for a person like me that's doing a whole
Ish,
lot?
have we met before?
Yes, I came to your studio and did the two-tier cake. I had the braids,
I
remember?
thought so. I thought so. So definitely what I would definitely say, for one, congratulations. Get your bag.
Thank you.
Because all of that is gonna build on to something else anyway. I'm glad that I went to school and got the college education that I got. Because it helped me to be more disciplined when in my business. I may not be using my English degree, but I'm still teaching. So I mean, I'm and in a sense, I'm still actually using it, but in a different aspect. My advice would definitely be, a lot of people have so many skills and they master none of them.
Mhm.
So finding out exactly what it is that you want to do. If the bakery is your goal, your way you want to go, then I always tell people, you got to have a hustle for the hustle. So being in the hospital may pay for this later
Yes.
on, to where you ain't got to take out no loan. So you may have to spend a little time in the hospital unless you got some money already saved up, and that you can go straight in and purchase this straight out. But sometimes you gotta do what you don't want to do, to get where you want to be. And I attribute a lot of my success to my corporate career. Now, when I was working for Sodexo, I learned a lot about pricing food, setting up things for events, being in catering on a larger scale with catering events for 1,000 people. So all of that stuff, and the biggest thing was how to manage people, because I managed over 120 employees at one time. So being able to know how to manage people also taught me the human resource side of my business, and how to now deal with people in my own space, not only my employees, but how to deal with these customers that come up in here. Because people gonna think that they always right. I have had people that have come and taken classes, and I had to tell them, hey, this ain't working. You just gonna have to go, because you either gonna come to take the class and learn something, or you could go teach it on your own. Because when you come into the studio, you're coming for a reason, to learn something. I've had people that come in who thought they know it all, and if you did, you didn't need to take a class. And so you got, is getting that, and being patient with people is gonna be the biggest thing. But understanding that everything that you do is a general purpose behind it. So going through school and all that is just building you up to be able to run your own shit. And that's the main goal. That's the biggest goal there. So kudos to you, and keep doing that. I definitely, I remember you now. So you definitely, you on the right path. So
Okay.
good luck with all that.
Thank you.
Anybody else already own a space right now and are looking to add in these classes and stuff into there? I know we got one.
I do, and I also want to say thank you for bringing up the point about the when you're going to get your license and get your business and stuff open, about how you word your name, because we
Oh, yes.
transfer like I transfer. Well, of course, I'm in here in Mississippi, so you know how they do with the taxes and all that. But here in North Mississippi, I went from changing our business name when we moved from one location. It was in my husband's trucking company, to when I moved to the bigger to the bigger building, we put it in the bakery name. I wasn't thinking that it shouldn't have been called a bakery. So I'm glad you brought that point out, because they changed the whole deposit and the
They
utilities.
changed it. All of the classification changes when you go into bakery, because a bakery or a restaurant is considered a high risk business. So I don't know. I think that people withhold this type of information because they think that you're gonna be taking something from them. But it is so important in this community that we are transparent with each other about stuff like this, even as simple as how much I pay for rent here. You know what I'm saying? Those things matter, because that gives somebody else an idea of what they going into. Now, like Keisha is in Florida. So we know like in different areas, stuff is gonna cost different. If I was in West Palm Beach, this same location will probably be $5,000. If I was downtown Orlando, it would be $6,000. So it depends on where you are, and it's just so important that you tell people these things because you don't ever know what somebody's about to get ready to go out there and do, and they're gonna mess themselves up. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? You could really hurt yourself with
Yeah.
going to open up something that you are not educated about. So
Mhm.
I love teaching these classes like this and opening up this dialogue because over the years we learn more things. That's why I did an update for this because my skills have increased. My learning had I've gone in and taken more classes, online things that for business aspects that I can help other people with. So it's always a return on that investment, in aspects like that.
Well, thank you for that, because if I had known that, I would have probably not called it the bakery. I probably would have called it something
Yes,
else.
a studio.
Or
All
yeah,
right, all right, I got you. So let me tell y'all something. One of the reasons why I wanted to teach this class, and I'm gonna get to the other question that's in the chat. One of the main reasons why I wanted to reteach this class is actually for one thing. I know y'all got a lot of information out of this, but the one thing that I'm about to tell you is my entire reason for giving this. Now, if it come outside of this and y'all tell somebody else, that's on your ass because you wasted your money and told somebody something for free. So one of the things that I found to be very effective is where you purchase your supplies from. Okay, somebody is unmuted. Mute yourself. Now, I'm going to walk to the front and I'm going to show you this. I'm going to give you an example of this. And this is not to take away from what I do or how I sell things, but because you guys have purchased the class, I'm going to give you the real on something. I know y'all familiar with Shein, whatever you want to call it. It ain't nothing but a third version of AliExpress and Alibaba. The only exception of it is everything comes faster because their warehouses are in the US a lot of times, okay, depending on what you order. All right, let's take something for example, all right? These, if you're using like something like these butterflies in your class, all right? Did you know that Sheen sells cake supplies? Did anybody know that? Nobody know that, did you? This was the reason why I wanted to teach this class, really. I could have said this in my master class, I'm gonna share it in the master class, but this right here is worth whatever I don't forget how much this class costs, but this is worth whatever the class costs right here. This right here are probably like, I think they was like 80 cents on Shein. Retail price, when you resell it, you sell it $6 or $7. So when you're making your classes, it is important to keep your cost of your supplies low by finding places outside of Amazon where you going and buying all this stuff at, because the first place everybody go is to Amazon when they buying supplies. Baby, listen, these little balls, they come in a pack of 15. I think it's like 15 of them in here. On Amazon, I think they like $10 or $12. They $1 on Shein. So $1 a pack. They come already packaged. All I gotta do is throw a label on here. Now listen, this is not to take away from my retail stuff, because the retail stuff is not the biggest part of anything in my business anyway. It's more so the classes and everything else. But this is what I want you to understand. There are people out there who are selling products and supplies and classes that are really, really getting over on people. Okay. And you can be one of those people and do all that, but we all know that you gotta, in order to make a profit on something, you gotta mark everything up. That's just the nature of business. So anytime most of the stuff is marked up 3 times the cost. My problem is, and the reason why I wanted to update this class was really for these right here. So everybody is selling stencils right now. Everybody got stencils. If you're in the cake community, you know that you've seen them on everybody's page. Everybody is selling them. I've gotten stencils from people that one stencil was $20. And this stencil, when it first came out, this harvest stencil, everybody was selling it. People were saying they were making it on their Glowforge, telling a fucking lie. All these stencils came from over in China. Okay. And if they did make them, I guarantee you that somebody in China figured out how to make it and they got the same, they duplicated the design. These stencils that are selling for $20 are $1 on Shein. $1, okay? So the problem is that when people are selling supplies, of course, if you have a supply store or something that you decide that you want to do, you may not need a bulk of 1,000 or something. Alibaba and AliExpress are made for people who are buying in bulk. They need a whole lot of something at one time, and that's fine. You know, if you selling like my mats and stuff, like I'll buy 1,000 of those because I know I'm going to sell them over time, or I'm going to need them for a class or something. But if you buying something, you just starting out and you want to open a mini supply store, take your ass on Shein and order 5 and 10 of them at a time. See how they work. If you want some quick, the reason why people have been so successful at drop shipping is because they find these things like this and then they resell it. Because there's always going to be somebody out there who y'all didn't know that you could buy the stuff on there. So there's always going to be somebody who don't know what you know, and you're able to sell it to them. That right there, that one thing alone was worth teaching the whole class. That's what this class was really all about. If you're going to teach a class, you got to be smart on where you're getting your stuff from, because you got to pay for everything first. So if I wanted to teach a class on stenciling, I can just order all the stencils from Shein for $1, and the people take the stencils with them. They can take the stencil, they can take the spatula, all of the stuff that they use in the class, they should be able to take it with them. It's yours now because hell, you paid for it. Question.
I don't have a question, but I got a comment. That one
Okay.
gem alone that you just gave us you could have doubled or tripled the cost of this class for just
know.
that one piece of info.
I know. But guess what? After it's all over, y'all done already took the class. I can go resell this class. I can sell this class for $100 if I want to now. I've already
Yes, you
recorded it.
can.
It's already been taught. The recording is in progress. All I gotta do is download the video and put it on YouTube now and resell it. See, that's why the difference between me and a lot of other business owners, I have repeat customers over and over and over again. There are some people who have ordered from me hundreds of times, and I keep a record on Shopify. That you can, it is one thing to start a business and you come out with a product and people go and buy it one time. I don't want one-time people. I always get criticized for people telling me that my stuff is too low. That's okay, because I know how much I paid for it. So if I want to go sell those stencils for $5, hell, I didn't pay but $1 for it. You do the math. If I made a $4 profit and I sold 1,000 of them stencils, do the damn math. Versus you selling 100 of those stencils for $20 and nobody ever buy nothing else from you again.
Right.
That's where it all boils down to. That's a masterclass right there.
Major gem.
Somebody asked the question, when you're building a following, how often do you recommend posting content? It don't matter how many times you post content if the content is trash. If the content is trash, you can post 100 times a day and then people gonna scroll right by it. If you're posting I would rather you invest your time in posting quality content and posting once a week versus posting every day if you're gonna be posting shit. If you posting if all of your reels are showing you icing a cupcake, that ain't quality content. It's just pointless. You wasting your time stopping and going on these damn videos, making these videos. When I'm making my reels, I will do short clips and put them all together. And I use an app called BeatLeap, BeatLeap. BeatLeap is the app. I use the full version of it. All you got to do is take all of those clips, click on all of them on there, and it will upload everything into one thing and create the reel for you. It does it for Facebook, Instagram, all of the TikTok. It'll make it however long you need it to be. and it automatically formats and it does all the little bells and whistles for you. You ain't got to spend all your time sitting there trying to edit a video. The reason why a lot of people don't make no money is because they work stupid. You're working dumber and not smarter. It's too many things out there to help you. And if you just take the time to research it, it can help your business. I'm always on YouTube. Me and my fiance, we live on YouTube learning different things. Hell, we created our YouTube channel based off another person's YouTube that wasn't doing that good. So we seen what they were doing wrong and figured out how to ways to help ourselves. So now that's another bag. Social media is a bag, y'all. It is all about money on social media. Content, everything is content driven. I make money on Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, TikTok videos, Twitter pictures. Everything has a monetized payment attached to it. So when you are creating stuff, create quality content. I don't give a damn. I'm pouring, as you've seen before, that video of me pouring that hot honey on that cornbread had almost 100,000 views. And it ain't nothing but damn pouring honey on the cornbread. But guess what? It was in slow motion. And I put a sexual song behind it. So the video of me stirring the macaroni and cheese, everybody's mind instantly went to sex. I did what I needed to do. I engaged my followers. And that's exactly what it was. It was all a marketing ploy. So when people say that, oh, I'm not good at marketing and I'm not good at social media, you probably need to step back and figure that part out before you go head first into entrepreneurship.
I have a question. Do you think that it's important to post like, not like your personal life, but like the face of you, instead of just putting like cakes, cupcakes, and all that, but actually putting your face on your social media?
Okay, let me ask you a question specifically on that question. Why do you continue to follow and support me?
Because you're relatable and we see you.
There you go. That's your question. That's your answer right there. So if all I see on your page is cakes, you don't have a brand. You developed a brand. I'll take that back. You develop a brand, but it's just for your cakes. Now, for me, I am the brand. So when making myself relatable to people and showing the real side and being transparent and showing people, hell, it's business owners out there that cuss and do all of that and do everything. Hell, I tell people I had an OnlyFans and all of that, but I made a lot of damn money. You know what I'm saying? I make myself relatable to people. So when you're incorporating your personal life into things, you got to do it in a way to where it's not overly just overbearing on people. There are some people, when you go down their page, I don't know if you sell ass or you sell cakes. You know what I'm saying? Because you pretty much just dumped it in there so fast that they don't know exactly what you do. But I also say that you have to allow yourself to reach that level of knowing how to balance that personal and business. Now, I can post my love life on my Instagram page, because here my Instagram page is about me. It ain't about the business. Cake King is the brand. I am Cake King, and that's what created the brand. So people follow me and they buy from me because I've made myself relatable to people. And that's what makes our brand.
I understand. You always look good though. Like I'm 5 months pregnant and I'm just like, I gotta look good all the time.
Oh, wait, hold up. If you're 5 months pregnant, you like literally fucking sitting on money. Because for people to see you develop content around being, baby, I will be in their kitchen like this, ice on a cake, showing people like, hey, this is real life. I am a working mom to be, and I'm relating now. Baby, relate how you are going to your doctor's appointments and tie that into cakes. You came home and your feet were swollen and you still had to cut out images for edible image stuff to go on a cake. Being able to show people that you are real and relatable, that it's people out here who are working up until their 9th month of pregnancy and still running businesses. That makes you relatable to people. Listen, if I was a woman, I'd be rich. I'm telling you, I would be documenting every damn thing. I'll be up in there showing, I'll be telling people, hey, making reels, hey, my period is on, I don't feel like doing shit today. Anybody else feel like that? It's little shit like that that make people want to keep following you because you're engaging them. People think like that. People will take pregnancy and think, well, I got to document my whole pregnancy journey and all of that. How can you incorporate your pregnancy into the business? How can you make your pregnancy a business? Tell you, I'm gonna give you a real good example of that, how you can do that too. My wedding is a business. I guarantee you by the end of that wedding, at least 50% of the stuff that's going into that wedding is gonna be from promo stuff, from people donating items or trying to get their business shown. You make your life a business. So all of the documenting of stuff that I do, even dating and all of that stuff that I did with dating, that was all a part of business as well. Because that allowed people to get to know me going through my divorce. Thank you. Thank you, Erica. The Kardashians have made a living off of documenting their life. So the pregnancy is a business all in itself. How can you monetize that baby?
I,
had to stand
I,
up
I
on that
have a
one because that was
question and a
good.
comment, but I just want to say you good. I love me some you. You are amazing.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, this is okay. Okay, so I have a question. I have been thinking about, so I'm the one with the subscription box. I'm the funeral pound cake girl. And
Okay.
it's been a journey. And so I've been trying to think about how to pivot it. And so my thought was to do a class on it, but I kind of want to continue with the box, but I feel like I can monetize. A lot of people ask me questions about how I do this, where I get my boxes, how I ship food. And I know you know, I learned a lot from you for shipping food. But what are your thoughts on teaching something that I may want to continue either in the same way or pivoting from how I initially set it up? Because it's a lot of room for improvement. I've learned so much in a year. It's nuts. What are your thoughts?
Okay. So I had this question. My friends asked me this question when I taught the masterclass. They asked me, they said, why would you teach people the secrets to your business? I said this earlier on my call earlier. I can give you the recipe to the sauce. I can make you a video, but you damn sure ain't gonna make it like me. It does not matter how much information I give you, you are not gonna be me. You ain't gonna have the charisma I got. You ain't gonna have the weight of the finesse that I got to be able to finesse people. You just not gonna be able to do it like I do it. So teaching somebody something that you consider to be your prized possession or your money maker, they ain't gonna be able to do it like you. If
Okay.
that was the case, I would have never taught people how to do the cake jars or how to go on Alibaba and find stuff. I would have never told y'all how to go on there and find supplies, because what would people be thinking? Well, damn, that's gonna take away from your sales. No, it ain't. I got over 100,000 followers. Somebody still gonna buy it.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
subscription boxes are a really good idea. They are a really good idea. I know some people who do really, really well that offer subscription boxes. It's just about how you structure it and how you market and advertise it,
Yeah.
and getting it in the hands of the right people. I will never discount the fact that of my social media promo with doing promo for people on my page. That's the reason why I keep the promo prices so low. I have had people who have sold out of their entire inventory just
Oh,
from one
listen,
post.
when you posted me, I gained over, I would say upward of 1,000 followers just from your post in like 2 days. Like I was like
So it
on the
helps.
floor.
Like you never know. Like even when people are posting about like their bakeries and stuff, that people in it, and I had people come in and say, "Oh, I didn't even know that I'm in the same town and didn't even know they had a bakery, or I didn't even know they
Okay.
did cakes." You can't take away from that promo. So a lot of people miss out on so many opportunities. On my page alone, there's about 4 or 5 million impressions a day. So when you're looking at social media, you don't understand like what the all of the social media metrics of, you know, finding how many people are following you, how many people view your story, how many people follow, how many followers you lost, and all of that stuff. It is important. Like if somebody open their platform up to post you on their page, damn it, you better take advantage of it at all times. That's why I be
Mhm.
fussing at people about sending shitty ass pictures or videos that are bad quality. You're putting yourself out there for a whole nother world to see your brand. You never know who your next potential buyer is going to be. I got some people that follow me that have who are celebrities who have supported small businesses from people and still support them. People they would have never even found.
Mhm.
So you can't take away from that type of stuff.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So I want to wrap this up. If you have a more detailed question, feel free to either if it's something that ain't gonna take up 30 minutes of my time. If that's the case, you can book a consultation on the website. But if it's something you got a question, shoot me a question or whatever. I do. You guys know I don't mind helping you. I hope that this has been a benefit for you. The reason why I taught the class was really for that last tip. Anyway, but y'all just got everything else in between there. So hopefully you really gain something from the class as a whole. All hearts and minds clear.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, y'all. Best of luck. The